Hey guys, so for today's video, I am going to be doing this really cool, like, melted kind of checkered pattern or design. I saw this picture on Pinterest, which if you've watched my last few videos, you know, I have been on Pinterest quite a lot recently, and I've been finding some really cool, like, inspo pictures on there, and I've kind of just been playing around and having fun with them and testing out like different textures and stuff. But anyhow, I saw this really cool picture on Pinterest. I'm pretty sure it's a stupid AI picture, which I really kind of hate. I'm hoping maybe that is it is like someone did like a digital drawing of this, but I am honestly pretty sure it's AI, which I really, like I said, kind of hate that, but what can I do at this point, you know? Anyhow, I thought it was really cool. It's like this checker print, this glitter checker print, and then it's like has like some 3D melted kind of blobs on it. So I wanted to do that on some nails. So to start out, I am using the white from Ballpit, and I'm painting all of the nails with this. I did do 2 coats of this, and I cured each coat for 60 seconds. However, I really could have only done 1 coat because, as you can see here on camera, this white polish is 1 coat coverage. Um, you really don't need a second coat with this, but I did, and I usually do 2 coats whenever I paint an entire nail, just to make sure everything is nice and covered. There's no like thin spots to where, like, if you were to hold up your hand in front of a light, you know, if there's some spots that are thinner than others, you can kind of see through and it looks kind of splotchy. So I was just, you know, trying to make sure there was none of that. Also, I kind of really didn't need to do a second coat because I am doing the checkered print, and then there's like a whole bunch of other stuff going on top of it. So I really could have probably gotten away with only doing 1 coat, but like I said, I pretty much always do 2 coats whenever I paint an entire nail one color. After I got all of those painted, I'm just going in here and wiping them all off with some alcohol to remove the sticky layer. I always do this before doing any nail art because the sticky layer, it does tend to act similar to a blooming gel. It doesn't spread out the lines and dots and stuff as much as an actual blooming gel, but it is enough for you to like tell the difference between if you remove the sticky layer and you kept the sticky layer. However, I will say I didn't really need to remove the sticky layer because I am using a liner gel, and liner gels are thicker than regular gel polish, and they don't really spread because of how thick they are. So I really didn't need to worry about the sticky layer, but it's kind of habit at this point for me to just wipe off that sticky layer before doing any kind of nail art, no matter if I'm using regular nail gel polish or a liner gel. So, like I said, I am using a liner gel here. This is the Baddest Black Liner Gel from Nails by Dev. Usually I use the Emo Black Liner Gel from Ballpit, but I am running low on that. I do need to order some more. So, since I have this one, I decided to just go ahead and use this. They're both pretty similar in terms of like thickness or consistency of the gel polish, liner gel. Same with like the pigment of them. They're both very pigmented, 1 coat coverage, you know. So they're both really good liner gels. The only difference is the Ballpit one does cure without a sticky layer, so you can use that for chrome, which I use for isolated chrome designs all the time. If you've watched any of my videos where I've done isolated chrome designs, like within the last year or so, I think, because I think that came out sometime last year, I use that the black liner gel from Ballpit for all of my isolated chrome designs because it works really well. Um, so yeah, if you're looking for a black liner gel, either one of these are good. It just kind of depends. Um, do you want one that's going to work for isolated chrome designs, or do you not care about that? Um, so I'm just going in and doing the checkerboard across all of the nails. I started with the horizontal lines, and every time I do checker print, I say I hate doing checker print. I really do, but I do it a lot for someone who hates doing it. Like, I just recently did it for the Alice in Wonderland set, and I was complaining about it then and saying how I never want to do checker print again, and here I am doing checker print again, which I knew I'd end up doing checker print again at some point because that's what I do. I say I hate doing something and then I do it, a million times. Um, but anyhow, for me personally, I find it easier to start with the horizontal lines rather than the vertical lines. For some reason, I can get the spacing down better and it ends up a little more even. So I do start with the horizontal lines, get all those on, and then I go in and do the vertical lines. And I've done checker prints so many times before, and I say this every single time. I leave everything uncured until the entire thing is painted, just to make sure that it does look the way I want it and the spacing is right. Because even though the lines right now look pretty decent, sometimes when I paint it, like, it looks kind of funky once I get all the squares painted that need to be painted, and it looks kind of uneven and I don't like how it looks. So I do like to wait until I get everything done before I do any curing. Also, I've said this multiple times before with like doing checker print and even with doing like plaid designs. When it comes to lines like this where they cross over each other, if you don't cure it, they like melt into each other and like level out into each other. So it's one smooth, even surface. Whereas if you do like the horizontal lines first and then cure those and then put the vertical lines on top of it, or vice versa, however you do it, where those lines intersect, there's going to be a little like raise there, because now it's two separate layers, or well, three separate layers, because you have the base color, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. And once you top coat, like, you really can't tell that those little bumps are there, but I don't like it. So I like to have everything be uncured until I'm completely finished. That way I don't have those little bumps from all the layers of gel polish on top of each other. And also so I can make sure that everything is like spaced out the way that I want it to be spaced out. So after I got all the lines on, you saw me there go through and just put dots on the squares that I was going to be painting. It makes it a lot easier. You can just go through and paint it, and you don't have to like think too hard at that point, because you're just looking for the dot and filling in that square where the dot is at, instead of going square by square, like, okay, I paint this one, don't paint this one, paint this one, so it just makes it a little bit easier and go a little quicker when you have the dots already marked out. It also kind of helps to prevent any mistakes of like painting the wrong square and then having to wipe it off and restart. And on that one nail there, you did see the liner gel did kind of like, when I dotted it on, it like pulled away and like created like this string that went across the nail. I did try to clean that off as best as I could, but because this liner gel is very thick, very pigmented, it is a little difficult to wipe off the nail. So it does take a little bit of work to like scrub it off of the nail. But also I wasn't too worried about it because I knew I was going to go in and do some like 3D stuff on top of it. So I was like, I'll just cover up any like smeared gel that's right there with some of the 3D blobs that I'm doing on top. So I didn't try too hard to clean it off, but I did try to get it off so it wasn't like a solid black line. It was just, you know, kind of like a smudge print almost. So yeah, just going through now and filling in all of these squares. And as you can see, I'm not showing me doing every single step on every single nail because it's basically the same thing across the entire set. And checker print is a very tedious design to do with all the different lines, and then you got to fill in the squares and everything, and you got to do it so many times. It does take a bit of time to get checker print done, so I'm not forcing you guys to watch me do checker print across all 5 of the nails. I'll only show, I don't know, like 1 or 2 of the nails. Also, when I was doing the lines for the checkerboard, I was using a 15 millimeter liner brush because the longer the brush, the easier it is to get nice, long, straight lines, because the longer the brush, the more it like absorbs any kind of shakiness that you might be experiencing, which I was actually pretty shaky when I was doing this. Some of the lines were a little wonky, but it was better than if I were to take like this 9mm that I'm using currently right here and trying to draw those long lines across the nail with a short little brush as opposed to a long brush. And then to fill in all the squares, I did switch over to using a 9mm brush. And then after I got all of the squares filled in and the checkerboards were looking the way that I wanted them to, I did go ahead and cure for 60 seconds. And now I am taking Nightmare Fuel from Ballpit, which I have used this a couple times before, and I have said it is a limited edition polish and it was sold out and you couldn't get it. I couldn't link it, but Ballpit has just released a vault collection that has all of the limited edition polishes. So it is available for purchase. You can purchase it in the whole collection with all of the limited edition polishes, which I have used a few of them here on my channel. Or you can buy the bottles individually. So if you've ever seen me use this polish, or if you're seeing me use it right now and you're like, I really like that, you can get it now because it is available. I'm pretty sure they're like permanent on the website now instead of being limited edition. I mean, I'm going to assume so since she released this collection, and none of them say that they're limited edition anymore, but I don't know. But I will have this polish linked down below since it is available. Well, hopefully it's still available when I upload this video, it might be sold out. I don't know. I know this was a super popular color when she did first release it. It did sell out pretty quickly. It is a black hollow glitter. It is kind of sheer-ish. That's why I did the solid black base first and then going in with this, because I didn't want to have to do like 6 coats of this glitter in order to get like a fully opaque black square. So painted the black base first, then go in with this kind of sheer-ish sort of black glitter. Honestly, if you do like 2 or 3 coats, closer to 3 coats, 3 or 4 coats, you can get pretty solid color, like base color with this glitter, and it does just look like, you know, a black glitter nail, which, I mean, it is a black glitter polish, but like I said, it is kind of sheer. So I do recommend putting a black base underneath if you want it to be like fully solid opaque. But anyhow, went through, applied that to all of the squares, then I cured that for 60 seconds. And now for the little blobs here, I'm using this Nail Couture Squeeze Gummy Jelly, which I use a lot for like 3D stuff. This tube is pretty much empty. As you can see here, I am struggling to squeeze any out. I did have to stop recording for a minute to like really try and get more out, because like I said, that tube is practically empty. I do need to get some more of it, or I might try a different one. I don't know. Anyhow, tube is almost empty, struggling to get it out. Finally got it out. Now I'm mixing a little bit of the black liner gel into this rhinestone glue just to have a black base, because I am going to put that black glitter on top of it, and I didn't like, some of this rhinestone glue is going to go over the white squares, and I didn't want it to just be clear and then put the glitter black on top of it and be like, you know, a sheer black. I wanted full opaque black glitter, you know. So that's why I mixed the black into that. Now I'm just taking, I just stopped recording for a minute because I was coughing and sneezing. Anyhow, I am taking that rhinestone glue mixture there that I did and just globbing it on. I put it on one of the black squares, and then I just kind of move it around to kind of look similar to how the picture is, where it's like all melty and flowing kind of all over the board or like the checker print or whatever. Some of them go onto the white squares. Most of it stays on like the black squares. It's kind of hard to see what I'm doing here on camera because it's like black on black, and that is a little difficult to see, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here, just globbing it on wherever I feel like, and I do this across all of the nails. If I felt like the blobs weren't 3D as I wanted them to be, I would flip the nail over and let gravity pull it down a little bit, and then I stuck it in the lamp to cure. I only did like a 30-second cure, and then once I got all of the nails done with these little blobs, I did go ahead and do a full 60-second cure. The 30-second cure was just to lock everything in place so the rhinestone glue wasn't um, spreading out across the entire nail. And then the 60-second one was to make sure that everything was completely cured. Also, real quick, because it's bothering me, no one else is probably worried about it. And now that I'm going to say something, everyone's gonna be like, what, why? Like, it's gonna be noticeable now. But my nails are looking a little rough. They look really thick, but that was because I did have a full set on, and right before filming this, I clipped them off because I needed to film a couple videos before I could do my nails again. And what I have currently on my nails, like, I didn't film it or anything. It was just a super basic, like, encapsulated glitter set. I just put a bunch of hollow glitter on my nails and then encapsulated it with the cleared hard gel that I use to do my nails. And then after like a week of having just the plain hollow glitter on it, I got bored of that, and then I painted on some blue flames at the like free edge of the nails. You can kind of see there on the thumb. But yeah, I didn't film it. They were pretty boring, pretty basic. There wasn't like a whole lot to it. And I don't know, I just kind of didn't feel like filming it either, cuz I don't know. They were boring. Anyhow, it's just bothering me because they look so bad. I mean, I know I've done previous videos where I have clipped down like previous sets and then did something and they look a hot mess. But anyhow, after getting the blobs all on, I'm just going in with that black glitter again and going over all of the blobs. That way they have the glitter on top, and it matches with, the squares on the bottom. Also, this was kind of unnecessary, but you'll see why I say that in the end, or in a little bit, because it was just added layers that didn't need to be there. But also, the way that I was thinking about doing this set, I thought it would make sense to do it like this, but then it didn't work out. And then it ended up being like, I didn't even need to add this glitter at this point. But I also didn't know that I didn't need to add the glitter at this point. But like I said, that'll make sense in a little bit here. So after getting the glitter on the blobs, I went in with the anti-chrome matte top coat from NAILZ by Dev, because I am going to be doing some isolated chrome, and I don't want any of that to stick to the white, because in the picture you can see that there is like a red shine on the black parts, and I wanted to have that on the design or the nail as well. And I was like, oh, I do have this one chrome that I know has like a red tint to it that I think would work really well for this. But so I just lost my train of thought. Anyhow, I have this red chrome. I'm going to use that to get the red on the little black checker pieces or squares and the black blobs. So that's why I'm using the anti-chrome matte top coat for this. Works really well for isolated chrome designs. So if you are struggling with chrome sticking in places where you don't want it to stick, highly recommend getting this matte top coat because it works really well. You don't have to do any buffing or anything. You just apply the top coat, cure it for 60 seconds, do your little design, cure that for however long you need to cure that for, rub your chrome on, no chrome sticking to places where you don't want it to stick. I absolutely love this top coat, and I wish I would like I wish this would have existed, you know, years ago when I wish it would have came out sooner, like people have figured out these anti-chrome top coats, matte top coats, instead of, all the different techniques of trying to get isolated chrome designs. It saves a whole lot of time and a lot of, stress and struggles. I know there's other brands that have like top coats like this, but I do really like, this is the only one that I have. So this is the only one that I can speak on, but it works really well. Anyhow, I'm just going in with the Varnail 2-in-1 chrome top coat and my 9mm liner brush, and just going through and applying that to all of the black parts, so all the squares and all the blobs. That's all getting this top coat, and then I will cure that for 30 seconds, and then I take the chrome powder that I'm going to be using and rub that on. Like I said, this chrome powder in the jar, it has like a red tint. It's one of those like white powders that's supposed to end up being clear or whatever. But as you can see, when I apply it onto the nail here, it is very, because I am applying it onto the black, it does give a different effect compared to if you were putting it on like a clear nail or a different colored nail. It just looks like, a normal chrome, like a silver chrome. You put it on and it looks like a solid silver opaque chrome. So that's kind of what's going on here. Also, I didn't realize that it had this gold shift to it as well, which I did not want. And I just was not liking it. You can kind of see through it and see like that glitter underneath, because like I said, it is one of those ones that's kind of like a clear kind of chrome that gives like a little color shift a little bit. But I was not liking it, and then I was like, let me just apply some top coat on top of here and see if it like clears it up more and just gives like, the tint of the red and goldish kind of color here. But it wasn't. It was still looking very, not like fully opaque, but like mostly opaque, and I just was not feeling that. So I had the idea to put the black on top of it, the black glitter again, because that black glitter is kind of sheerish, like I said. So I was like, oh, maybe I can put it on top and like you can still see the chrome through, and it'll give me that like red effect like in the picture. And it did work. You could still see the chrome through it, and it definitely like gave the effect that I wanted. However, the gold shift on this chrome was just not it. Like, I wanted it to be red like the picture, and I thought this chrome was just going to have a red shift, because in the jar all I see is the red shift. I don't see any of that like gold color. But like I said, it could just be because it's on the black, and like depending on what color you put chrome on top of, like it can give it a different type of look, especially when you're doing like these kind of chromes, like I think these ones were like the mermaid chromes or whatever, where they do tend to have like some different color shifts in them. So I had to go off camera, do some more testing. I dug through to see if I had any other kind of chromes I could use. I found another chrome that I had that was red tinted, and I'm like, I hope this one doesn't have the gold shift like that first one. I applied it. It didn't. I was like, okay, it has that nice red shift that I wanted. And so I put that on, and then I put the black jelly on top of that, or the black glitter on top of that, and it gave me exactly what I was looking for, which is what I showed there a couple seconds ago. And I was like, okay, so this is how I'm going to do this because I really like how this looks. It looks exactly how I want it, and it looks very similar-ish to the picture. So I'm just going in here. I went through, matte top coated all of the rest of the nails. Now I'm just going in with that Varnail 2-in-1 chrome top coat, applying that to all of the black parts. Cure that for 30 seconds, and then I go through and I rub the chrome on to the nails, and I get that nice red kind of chrome there. There is a little bit of a gold shift in it, but it's not as noticeable or as prominent as that first one. It is there a little bit, but it's definitely more red leaning, which was exactly what I had wanted for this set. And then after I got the chrome on all of the nails, I did stick them back in the lamp to cure for the full 60 seconds, since I only partially cured the top coat to get the chrome to stick. And if you are partially curing the gel for the chrome to stick, you do have to stick it back in the lamp after you get the chrome applied and fully cure it. That way you don't have any uncured gel on your nails. Also with this nail, you can see here, I'm not doing that one corner because I missed it when I was top coating, and I didn't realize it until I was applying the chrome. But as you can see here, this chrome powder does have more of that red shift. It does kind of lean a little purple in some lights. And then other lights, it looks more red. But anyhow, there is a little bit of gold there, but nowhere near as much as that first one. So after I get the chrome on, and then I cure it again for the 60 seconds, I'm just going in and applying that black glitter on top of all of this. And then once I get that applied, I do cure for 60 seconds. And this is why I said earlier that adding the black glitter was unnecessary. Oh my gosh. Dropped my mic. The black glitter in the beginning was unnecessary because it got covered up with the chrome, and then I'm adding it on top of this. So yeah, I could have left out the black glitter, that first layer of black glitter that I did, because it all got covered up anyhow with chrome and more glitter. So but like I said, I didn't know that that's how this was going to end up. I thought I was just going to be able to add the chrome on, top coat it, like, you know, would clear up and just have like a red shift on the black, and it'd be fine. But no, things had to take a turn, and I had to, you know, try and figure something else out and figure out how to get this to work the way that I wanted it to, which happens a lot when I do nails. I sometimes will leave that in. I think most of the time I cut it out and I'm just like, oh, I did this, and then I might mention that like I had to redo it 17 times in order to get to how I want it. But I did want to show it in this one so you could like actually see how things happen sometimes, and how things don't always go the way you want it to go the first time. So you got to stop and think and do some testing, and you know, it's all just trial and error. But anyhow, after I got that black glitter cured. I'm going in with my Gen B Crazy Top, which I don't know why I used this one for this. Usually I use my LGN top coat because that is my favorite top coat. I think I used the Gen B one because I was like, oh, I used chrome. And I have been using this whenever I do chrome because I can use the separate brush, clean that out really well so I'm not contaminating the jar. Also, if any chrome particles do get in the jar, I can see that they're all sunk down to the bottom, and I know that, like, this top coat isn't contaminated, whereas if you use like a normal bottle of top coat, it does tend to get contaminated with chrome particles because like it gets stuck all in the brush, which is the number one reason why uh it gets contaminated, because all those particles are stuck in the brush. And like, you can try to clean that, but it's kind of difficult. Like, when you have a brush like this, it's way easier to clean off and make sure that all of the chrome is out of it. But like I said, sometimes you do miss some of those chrome particles and they end up in the jar anyways. Probably in the bottle they sink as well, but at least in the with this jar here, I can actually see that they are sunk down to the bottom. And even if they weren't sunk down to the bottom, like, I could just take the brush, scoop that part out that has the chrome in it, and then, like, wipe that off on a paper towel or lint-free wipe or whatever, and then, like, throw that away. But anyhow, I think because I was thinking that I did use the chrome, I needed to use this, but the chrome was already covered up with gel polish, so I didn't really need to use this one. I could have used my LGN one, but anyhow, either way, top coating it and doing shiny top coat because I do have that glitter. It is a hollow glitter, and hollow glitter does not look good top coated. Some glitters look good top coated, hollow glitter not, or does not at all look good. Like, it takes away all the little rainbow reflex off of it. But anyhow, top coated it and then it cured for 60 seconds. And this is the finished result. I really like these nails. They look so cool. I really love how this whole design came out and just how they look all together. If you're not into, this much stuff going on, you could just do this for like an accent nail even, with, I don't know what you would pair it with, like, design wise, but whether you do an accent nail of this or if you do a full set of this, I think it would look really cool. I do really like how the full set looks though, having them all together. They did come out a little bit better than I was expecting, even after the issues that I had ran into. They definitely came out a little bit better than how I was expecting it. Actually, it came out a lot better than how I was expecting. And I really love the chrome underneath the, like, jelly glitter black. Like, it's there and you see it differently depending on the angle you're looking at the nail. And, like, sometimes it kind of looks like it does disappear. It's just really cool. I don't know. Ooh. A red cat eye might have worked a little better. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because I might have to... I don't have a red cat eye. But I think a red cat eye would look really cool. Because cat eyes, like, they shift and move a lot more than, like, chrome. I wish I would have thought of that before, but like I said, I don't have a red cat eye polish, so I couldn't have done that, but like that would actually probably work really well. If you have a red cat eye, try it with red cat eye instead of red chrome. But here out in the sun, you can see it does look more purple than red. Like I said, in some lighting it was looking more purple, in some lighting it was looking more red, but either way I think it's really cool. And I just really like this set. I think it turned out really nice, and I kind of want to do this on myself because I really like it. But that is it for this video. Thank you. Stop! Oh gosh, dropping my mic again. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Dropped my mic and forgot how I usually end my videos. Anyhow, thanks for watching.